Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Massive Podcast. We are over the moon and delighted with our guest today. We want to introduce two class men. First, we have Sean Murray, filmmaker, On Quiet Graves, loads of other stuff, legend of a man, I love his stuff. And then we've got the amazing John Connors.
What's the podcast called again?
The Big Massive Podcast.
It's like because you're a massive fat bastard.
Yes.
He was. He's been to Turkey.
I was in Turkey.
Seriously.
That's why I was at. So, anybody listening, John here's lost a ton of weight himself. You had some face on you, John.
Yeah.
That was some size of head.
100%.
And you killed Nudge?
That's right, yeah. Well, actually, the heaviest I ever was when I was doing Love Hate. When I was 20, I was 23 and 23 stone.
I was 23 stone as well.
Yeah.
So what happened to me is I used to do the MMA. So I would go up and down. I would put on 5 stone between each fight.
I did the same as a boxer. So when I give up boxing, all the indulgence just kicked in, and women and kebabs and games in that order.
Women in the middle out there just to put weight on. So I went to Turkey and during COVID and got the stomach.
So you're 80%. You're a lazy bastard.
Lazy.
Cheating her.
Like half my family went to Turkey as well to get it.
And I'm thinking of going on the Ozempic now. So I'm half a stomach and I'm going on Ozempic. And I'm still not the size of my face.
So here, hold on, I'm missing something here. What did you go to Turkey for?
To get the sleeve, it's called.
A what?
Gastric sleeve.
Seriously?
80% of my belly pulled out. In Turkey too.
My uncle got 85%, and he like can't eat now anymore. He just doesn't. All he can do is drink Guinness.
I've heard some horror stories too. Like,
oh yeah.
Man, I was telling whoever was listening before, but see, if somebody had to give me the pain that I was going to go through after the post for 1 minute in the airport, I would have turned and went home.
Deadly.
So I had a full day of back coming on the windows and beating the stomach and. See, the hospital too was clean until you were lying down and you seen the ceiling. Like, Jesus Christ. Spiders and cobwebs and all. You're like,
so what way do you know?
I'm about 16.
16 now, and you've just plateaued, have you?
Badly.
Yeah. No.
Well, even better. I went back up to fucking 19. Right. Me with half a stomach.
Did you?
Which is embarrassing because I told everybody that listened that
you're just unstoppable, like. You can't
sweets
stop.
He's got that never die attitude, you see.
Sugar at night.
Sugar.
That's the worst.
Sugar's the worst, yeah. Sugar spikes the instant so high, and then you store so much fat from it then, you know?
I know, man, and I agree. Like, see if I got a box of sweets, like any boxes of, what do you call them, celebrations, I wouldn't even check for flavour, I was
never a sugar man. I meant to, like, just hardcore carbs, although it all breaks
down. You're a
meat
tooth now, but instead of
now I only eat meat and eggs, that's all I eat now, yeah. That's it for the last 5 months. Meat, eggs, black coffee and water.
That's it?
That's it,
Are you staying strict?
Yeah, and I fast a lot as well. So yeah, I did a few weeks.
I would
fast
do a wee bit under a bit of fasting too myself, but I just want to sleep.
You get
up in the morning, that's the fast over.
So now you're going to go on Ozempic now. You're that fat, baby.
Man, I was telling him, I'll tell you how fat I was.
Yeah,
I freewheeled on a bike. Right. 2 mile downhill with the wind in my face, and when I got to the bottom I was soaked with sweat. I was thinking I must be heart attack material.
And we always like that. We are always really impulsive.
Aye, all the time, all
me
my
too.
life. All
my life is impulsive like that.
Still a wee bit I think it's never sort of leaves you, does it?
I don't think it can.
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking, and actually the strength of it as well, especially in this industry.
That's right.
Of being impulsive.
Yeah,
you need to have it. Don't you?
Well, that's the thing. You need it gets you so far, but sometimes it can be
get you in trouble.
As it has many times.
Can we go back a wee bit to how you started acting?
Me, yeah. How did I start acting? Well, when I was 16, I was in a FOSS course that I joined after dropping out of school. I dropped out at 15, and at 16. I dropped out to become a man, basically, I thought, I did really well in school, but that wasn't cool in my circles, doing well in school. Yeah. I was the highest tested person in my school.
Do you mean in the traveller community?
Yeah. And that wasn't cool, like, that was not a cool thing, being a schoolboy. You know, Jono's brains to burn, not a cool thing, like. Yeah. So I left school at 15, then not having a father, and thinking I have to be a man now and show him a man. And
so your mother was a single parent?
Yeah. She's passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh, sorry.
Lord rest her soul. So, yeah, basically I left and went to join the FOSS metalwork course, and I didn't do any metalwork. I just played ping pong most days until, like...
you got good at ping pong now?
I got really good at ping pong. I was always good at sports.
It was like Forrest Gump.
Hold on.
yeah.
But is ping pong a sport? It's like darts.
It's a sport if snooker's a sport.
Aye.
It's way more athletic. It's athletic.
There's a real skill.
It's not a standstill sport.
Hold on, what are we talking about here? Table tennis?
Yeah.
Fucking ping pong. What's that about?
Yeah, table
It's a
ping
Dublin
pong.
word.
Ping
What's
pong,
it
table
called
tennis.
down the south? Ping
That's
pong?
right, is it? Ping pong, yeah.
Isn't that
Sounds
table tennis?
racist.
Up the north, you call it table tennis.
Table tennis, yeah.
There you go. Up Michael Collins.
That's a character from Little Brother.
Michael Collins is someone I've mentioned up here a lot when I'm drinking with minority friends, and they don't like you mentioning Michael Collins, but that's a whole other story. We won't get into that.
What's your thoughts on Michael Collins?
He was a fucking great man, I feel.
He was, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
But
was.
you see, the black and white thinkers don't see that. They don't see what his plan might have been and the greatness of him anyway.
Well, it's easy to...
He was cornered on that.
It's easy to fucking criticise someone who died at, 32 years of age as well?
The way that I would look at it, in the early 20s during the pogroms here, he was sending men up here, so he was.
Yeah.
You know, particularly this area here.
Yeah.
He was sending men up to defend the areas, so...
But
He had a whole plan.
He had a plan,
Oh,
didn't
100%.
he?
There was a plan in place.
There was a guy here, Springfield Road Barracks, a walk away from... You know Springfield Road?
Yeah.
Earlier on?
Yeah.
Just there was a barracks, and there was DC Nixon there, and he was organising the pogroms. The McMakin's family were killed. The Duffins were killed.
People getting burnt out of houses.
Yeah, you know, he was an evil man. He ended up a unionist politician, Nixon.
Yeah.
And Collins sent men up to kill Nixon.
Really?
It wasn't successful, but there was a lot of times where men were sent up and they were successful, you know.
Sean, how much of a genius was Michael Collins? He died, was it 32 he died?
32
or 3, wasn't it? 32, I think. Like at 32 years of age, look what he did with his life. That's talk about.
I think it's really hard now. Do you think we were talking about that earlier on? Because
look at 32-year-olds now.
but if you look at even the majority of the IRA back in the day, they're all teenagers, and you know the young ones like my dad was 16, 17 when he got involved.
Again, what's the conversation we had earlier?
Yeah.
The young lads that defend this area, they obviously is was 16, 17.
Children.
You know?
I remember watching the documentary in Long Kesh, and there was a guy they were in, and I forget his name, but he's saying, "What's an IRA man doing my books in the cell?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, because they just thought terrorists.
Savages.
And he says, when you leave here, you're going to go back and join the IRA. He goes, "Sure, I'm a 30-year-old man now. What good am I to anybody?" That's back in the 80s. Like, 30 was no good to anybody. Well, 30 now is the new 20.
Yeah, it's mad. Well, the average age of a Viking coming into Britain or Ireland invading them was 16 or 17. 16 and 17. We have this
hairs
image
in your armpits.
of like an ancient-looking fellow with a beard and this hat and that thing they had, them horns.
horns.
Yeah.
They weren't even real. That's
Great
fabricated.
ponytail down to his ears.
That's fabricated. Hollywood
And they were 5
fabricated.
foot. They weren't even like
Yeah, it's
8 foot
mad.
men.
Like, isn't that like our perception of things? Like,
There's a place in Derry. It's the Derry Wall Museum. If you ever went it, they've got actual.
I went into it. Yeah,
They've actual uniforms of actual soldiers from back in the day. They're that size.
I know.
really.
I would have been
I
like King
remember
Kong
that.
back in them days.
Derry's a great spot.
Love Derry.
Love that place.
That's where we were born.
Were you? Yeah. Sorry for you.
Anybody from Strabane has to be born in Derry.
In the city?
Yeah, bastard! You fucking bastard, yeah.
What did they say?
You're not born in England, he said. So my brothers never ever let me die. Like, I grew up in
Were you born in England?
Yes, I was born. I apologise.
Oh.
Right? So my father,
lads,
my father was schizophrenic, right? And he was engaged to my mother, and he hijacked the taxi during the engagement, and he got locked up because he crashed into a wall and got caught by the guards. And my mother went in and escaped him out the window, and they went to England together, and that's why I was born there. And my brothers I came back before I was born. My brothers never ever let me live that down. But I grew up in a camp with, like, say, 52 first cousins and loads of aunts and uncles and loads of second and third cousins. Yeah. And so about 20 or 30 other cousins were born in England as well.
Yeah.
But we were the ones that were really proud Irish. Mm-hmm. Now we all had Irish traveller accents. Do I look like an Englishman or something? A fucking top hat and a monocle, like. But
travellers are indigenous there.
Yeah. Well, we're exactly Irish travellers or indigenous, of course. Gypsies are not. But anyway, so yeah, my whole life I carried that cross on my back. And my thing is then I go, well, James Connolly wasn't born. Yeah, but he was born in Scotland. I know. Yeah,
St Patrick as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I want to chat, John, a wee bit about On Quiet Graves, because it's like one of the most talked about moving documentaries up north anyway, when people talked about it when it came out and all. Like, it was so surreal, like the way things went on back then, that was covered up. I was saying the nail on the way up the road, even propaganda back then, the British propaganda, even had Catholics feeling that they were wrong. Do you know, when you were watching it constantly on the TV, and Like even I was saying, even in school, I would have sort of been a wee bit ostracised because my dad was inside. Do you know what I mean? And my mother's in Sinn Féin and stuff like that. So you were sort of, and then TV constantly made you feel guilty. But what was going on? Especially Tyrone and the
Yeah, well, the murder triangle, like, I mean, as you'd seen in Unquiet Graves, you'd over 100, that we know of 120 civilians, over 120 civilians killed by the Glenanne gang, but which comprised members of the British Army and members of the RUC. So basically they were members of the RUC and British Army during the day, but at night they were loyalist paramilitaries. Yeah. And sometimes even in their RUC uniforms were involved in killing, you know. Yeah. You'd seen in the film there was an attack on the Rock Bar. Now the reason, you know, that I'd kept that in the film was to show that the impunity that these people had, it didn't matter. They carried out an attack on the bar, tried to wipe out everybody that was in the bar. A guy was shot outside, and then when the police were phoned, you know, who's the first police officers on the scene? The very ones who committed the attack. You know, because the guy who was shot seen the boots and says that's the same person, like, you know. So that's the kind of impunity. But if you imagine living in those rural areas during that, people say about us living in the city, yes, there was a lot of sectarian killings here, particularly Clonard. I mean, we're on the border here, right, where the Shankill is, and there are a lot of sectarian killings. But you kind of, no matter what, you kind of felt safe because you've so many chimney pots beside you. Yeah. You know, it's not, you picture living in some of them. There was a story that I'd heard which really encapsulates all that. There was a Catholic family lived in a rural farm, and there was only one house beside them, and it was their Protestant neighbours. And they went up the farm, up the back of the field, and they said they seen this Jeep coming up their driveway, and it was their Protestant neighbour in the Jeep, and two gunmen got out of the car, and they watched everything unfold. Obviously, went into the house and they weren't there, and they were taken away again. But they'd seen that, and went, like, that was someone who we had talked to day and daily. And to say that, I'm not trying to stereotype that this was Protestant neighbour. I'm saying this is what happened in rural areas. It's the truth. You know, it's just what it was like, and I'm sure it happened, you know, on both sides for that matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, living in the rural areas, I mean, the film really captures that how dangerous it was.
Very easy to get it. As I say, you wouldn't get in the middle of that.
How did you get into a film, Sean? I never asked you that, actually.
Do you know, it's a funny one because I went back to Queen's as a mature student to study politics and philosophy, and I walked past the film department for the first week, and I said to myself, I'm going to go in here and see could I change, because I got this thought in my head that I'm going to end up in politics, and I'm a terrible liar, so I couldn't have been a good politician. One of the worst liars I've ever seen. So I went into the film department and it just changed. It just changed on that day, and that was me. And apparently I've only like a week to do that, so I was lucky enough that it did change. And I stayed there for 7 years at Queen's, because I went straight on to do my masters and then into the PhD after that, you know.
But did you feel like you had stories to tell?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt. When I was younger, I'd done a bit of child acting and stuff like that. I was always at drama school. My ma had always brought me to the drama school and that. There was one story when I must have been only about 9 or 10, and there was 1 week she couldn't bring me because she was in getting an operation. And obviously down here, we were on the border with Shankill, and you know, your pastimes, lighting fires and owl houses and stuff like that, you know, and your face was black from morning to night, you know. And I got a bus by myself when I was 9 or 10 up to the drama school, and my face was black.
You did blackface.
There's an umbrella in mommy.
You're going to be cancelled now, John.
I even found the need to get up, even though my ma wasn't there, to get up and get that drama school done.
You wanted to tell stories.
God, there was always, listen, you know yourself, you're from Dorndale, I'm from the Falls Road. How many characters are we surrounded by? It doesn't matter where we're from, and us Irish are the greatest storytellers there is.
Absolutely.
And the comedy, I always say too, and I was saying to you beforehand, if you have experienced, some of the best comedians had dark upbringings.
Oh, no doubt.
You experience things that traumatic, and that's your way of dealing with.
We're just talking Richard Pryor and all the exact same, like, and we're talking about even as well the truth in it, the ugliness of what they say, the things that they admit. You know, we were talking about Louis C.K. and Lemmy.
That's therapeutic.
The things that they admit they don't like, and that's why they stand out, because they're willing to tackle the ugly truth. Yeah, that's it. And people laugh at that.
Do you know something? You see the ugly truth in yourself. That's fact.
Yeah,
do you know
totally.
What I mean? That's what it is.
Well, that like for me, that you know, I've always tried to think of what art in general, what does it do? And there's many things it does, but I mean, generally, what I'd say, it makes people feel like they're not alone. whether that's watching a film, listening to a song, hearing something in a song and thinking that's written for me,
Yeah.
or watching a stand-up special, which we love to do. He's a big into comedy, and I am too, me and him. I'm big fans of it. And I remember me and you had a great night
Remember.
during a shoot, and he's like, "You would Lucy K fan?" I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" And we went back to the hotel, bottle of wine after a shoot. You remember? And we watched Lucy K special.
But there's one thing I said, and you went, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
I says, every night I go to sleep with Louis C.K. in the background.
Yeah.
And he says, I do the exact same thing.
Exact same.
I know somebody that does it with The Office, the English version.
Yeah.
Can't sleep unless it's on.
Yeah. No,
And
that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. Like,
It is.
but it's mad. But
Louis C.K. and he got cancelled for pulling the Taj himself. Didn't he?
Yeah.
But like people love self-deprecation.
Is that going to happen to you, bro?
I think people love self-deprecation. I think people they see, like, oh, look at all the problems he's got. He's making fun of it. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
so when I'm on stage, I can't show myself up. If you know what I mean, I can talk about anything that happened to me in my life and all, and it's easier on stage when you're joking about it than it is maybe one-to-one with anybody that's talking to you about your life.
So what happened to you now? What trauma?
Loads, like I was just sort of the same growing up, and the troubles during the 80s was just.
I want to know more. Digging deep now.
But it's not. This is about you, John. And
John,
and
wait.
It's the John
You did
and Sean
MMA,
podcast.
you did MMA, did you?
That sounds brilliant. I don't know about MMA too. I fought in a couple of shows that McGregor fought on.
Did you? Right, no way.
Wasn't that good. I was one of these boys that got in loads of trouble my late teens and my 20s. Then I went back into my degree, left school with no qualifications, did my degree in youth work, ended up working with young people, still do to this day, young people in care. 8 years working with travellers in Derry. Paddy Keelan and all that there, worked in all them places. And then I got into the MMA in my 30s.
Who did you get into with this fella?
No.
I do jiu-jitsu. I roll
Did
out
you
the
meet
floor.
together in MMA?
He rolls about the floor. He doesn't.
Did you meet together in MMA?
We used to grow up in the same street.
Same street. So, and then, do you know what happened to me? I think the MMA came to an end when I was 37, and then at a year where nothing was happening, and I just didn't like it. And then I was always a messer. I always loved the comedy, always loved the crack, and then just fell into comedy. Did a comedy page on Facebook, getting about 1 million people a month coming through the page, and then the next step then was just try and stand up. Always. It was like a dark secret.
Yeah.
But you boys didn't hold back. You got straight in.
It's the bravest art form, I think, our stand-up comedy, because you're going to know within a few seconds whether or not it's working.
Yeah.
You need to get a laugh within a few seconds, or you're fucked.
You'll know. You'll never find out if a joke works until you get up.
Yeah. Like, it's so scary, the thought of it. And I've done like I performed hundreds of times on stage for acting, and I did like public speaking in front of 10,000 people. But the stand-up comedy was.
You can do it.
I think improv.
I'd love to try. I would love to actually try it. Would you?
100%.
I like improv now, but I'd be terrified now to get up on stage comedy. Although I probably will do it one day.
I was chatting to Mickey Bartlett last week too, and he was talking about writing, and he says, "See for your material to get good." And you know, Mickey, no?
I do.
He's on about this rhythm you need. He says it's the same way music, and it's the same way sort of probably filmmaking. You need to have this rhythm that people are bought on, and then they're took on the ride. You know what I mean? So art. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Well, the thing is about stand-up, though, is that you're both a writer and a performer, you know?
I had a cracker last week. So I did one. This is the way comedy works. So that I did Port Rush. So you're thinking, right, I can't do the long cast jokes. And then I did the next day, what do they call the GA club in Dungiven. That the unions always go mad about because of the name of it.
After
the hurlers.
Hunger Striker.
Aye.
Yeah.
And it's mad because you're like, do you switch up my comedy because I'm going into different rooms? But you just have to bite down and be who you are.
But I'd say they love that comedy, no? Your perspective.
Some rooms are better than others.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was saying last week. I had one of them shocker fucking heckles. You know what you'd see on TikTok?
Heckle, yeah.
So I was killing. I was like a top 10 gig, theatre packed, and all I heard was, "You're not funny."
Oh.
And the room just went, phew. And I thought it was somebody's phone. And I went, "What's that?" And then, "You're not funny." And then I was thinking, oh, Jesus. Because I was doing a joke, and it's about me doing the door. The joke sort of goes, I'm doing the door 15 years. I'm proud to say I never only lifted my hand once. But I'll tell you, she fucking deserved it, right?
Yeah.
And then I said about not only was she a cheeky fucker, but she ran over my big toe in her wheelchair, right? Now, anybody that laughs, I go, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Because I did not have a woman in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
She was on crutches and a sweeper, right? But I never got to that. No, you're not funny. And then I looked up, I was waiting, is there somebody in a wheelchair now and they're not listening? And then she had to be removed. Because her boyfriend apparently finished her that day and she was drinking wine. And then I actually said a name that triggered her, Alistair McAllister. I do a joke. There's my traveller mate, right, was selling dogs. Pat McDonough, right? And I was selling chihuahuas, and our chihuahua got knocked down at Christmas. And I wanted to get another dog. So I Googled chihuahuas. There was a boy in Castledare. And his name, I can't remember his name, but for the joke, I call him Alistair McAllister. So who the fuck's going to call themselves that? Anyway, Pat, I rang him up. I says, is this Alistair McAllister? He goes, and then when I got my details, he says, is this Ronan? I says, from Strabane? He says, fuck's sake, Ronan, it's Pat. I says, why did you not give your real name? He says, who the fuck's going to buy a dog off a traveller? You know what I mean? So I called, the joke was, and that triggered her. Apparently there's a solicitor in Portrush called Alistair McAllister.
Oh, God.
And she fucking had a divorce went through, and he put the whole... So that triggered her. I was thinking it's a disability or hitting a woman.
Go on, tell John the rest of that joke. The dog in the house, what Arla said.
One of the most racist things that the wife nearly said to me. So we get the dog home, wasn't a chihuahua. He told me the papers, the Jags, and I give it to me cheap.
Do you know what Travellers called that?
Grew up to be a beautiful greyhound.
But you know what Travellers called that?
What?
They called that a mace.
Right.
A mace is a con.
Right.
Yeah, and there's I come from a long line of macers, yeah. No, what I mean, I actually don't. My uncle, though, is the greatest macer that there ever was. He is a macer, and he also loves practical jokes.
Yeah.
And loves, he's a mad cunt.
Give us an example.
I'll give you an example. Well, anyway, he was, at one point I gained a lot of weight. I remember I told you this time I gained weight, so I was getting very sensitive. My uncle was slagging me all the time in the pub, and giving me 2 pints at a time and all this stuff because I was so fat. So I said, I'll fix him now I'll get him back at his own game. So he asked, he said, Jono, he says, if there's any old cars, burnt down cars around there, and they let me know and I'll go and collect the cars, up for the lorry. I said, John, no problem, Uncle John, no problem. I said, John, would you believe it? There's a little Fiat Punto there in the garden around the Marigold. Ironically, Darndale, all the Darndale areas is called after flowers. Don't ask me why, right? Marigold, snowdrop, tulip, all that. So I said, yeah, it's a little red one. Oh, I see it, right? It's a little 001. Yeah, that's it. This is probably 15 years ago or whatever. Not that far ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. I said, listen, I know the man. I was talking to him. He said, you can take that, put it up in the back of the lorry, no problem. Yeah, nice one, nephew, that'll do. I'll show you an old drink out of it. I said, no, you're grand. Just make sure get it now in the next hour or two. Right, so anyway, he goes and gets it, puts it on the lorry. Obviously, I never talked to this fella at all, the man at all, So I get a phone call from John, and I'm with my other uncle, who's his brother, and the two of them always slagging each other. And a phone call from my Uncle John. Oh, I shouldn't have said my Uncle John, but anyway, it's grand. Anyway, no, it's grand, actually. My Uncle John, and he goes, nephew, what's up? I said, what's the story? He said, this fiend here I'm with, yeah? I said, yeah. He has a sword in his hand, and he said that he wasn't talking to you at all. I says, yeah, what are you talking about, Uncle John? Don't mess with me now, nephew. I know this is over all the slagging I'm giving you. I said, I don't know what you're on about. I hung up, yeah. And his brother's breaking his bollocks, laughing, And I said, I'm going to have to ring back. He's going to be chopped up with a sword, And his brother was saying, no, leave him, the bastard, leave him. I said, he could be chopped up, So anyway, I found the phone to your man. I said, listen, I was told that you left the car. Now, the car wasn't a great car by no means, but it was lying up. But I think this fella had a dream of bringing it back to life. But anyway, John, the worst ever was he had to give him 100 quid to take the car on, which killed him, having to give that money. So anyway, it was a mazer. Yeah.
I was sort of reminds me of the boss I had in America. Remember, I was out butler. First day we were going out to the site. We had to meet at a shop, and they see me and he goes, right, jump on that van there. I'll be out now in a second. And I jump on this van full of Mexicans. Wasn't his van. No. And they're all looking at me, and I'm going, how's it going?
Where's that?
In Philadelphia.
No way.
Over in Philadelphia. Kieran McGill, could have you made it heard him, his youngest man in the blanket?
Yes, sir.
Overworking with him before he got deported as well. We both got deported. actually.
Did you get deported?
He actually was. He was sent on the. He was found to be illegal, but because of his background, they arrested him and put him in the high security prison where all the high.
He's a terrorist.
Aye, under terrorism act and all there, and he said that everybody was a wee bit ropey with him until the court case. And then the list of all the things he did, and then when he went back into the jail, he was a hero. Yes, back man.
Who deported you? What president was it under?
The year 2000, in 95, 98.
Bush.
Who was that? Bush.
Bush first. Bush first.
Bush
Sorry.
first.
Yeah.
Bush.
Bush first, just before Clinton.
And because I had a British passport, they left me in England.
Oh yeah.
That was tight too.
Clinton was what, 97 onwards? Was he?
Oh, 97 onwards. That's right. Didn't Obama actually deported more, didn't he? Than a lot of them. Like he was
Obama,
master and deporter. He called him. Yeah.
He had the face as if everything was going beautiful. But
Yeah, he was slick. He was slick.
I get the most bombings as well.
Yeah.
I bought more than anywhere else.
Oh, he was a drone king, wasn't he? He came to Dublin, obviously, and a good friend of mine was asked to sing for him. Actually, Damien Dempsey was asked to sing for him, and he wouldn't sing for him.
He's some singer.
Yeah, Damo to me is just, I don't know, he's on a different high level plane of artistry and his soul, you know, and how much he cares for the country, you know.
Brilliant.
But he turned him down, like when a lot of other artists didn't, and they were glad to take the paycheck and jump on the Obama train. He said, "How can I sing the song Colony and then sing for this man?" You know, and I just thought that was great, a bit of courage.
Standing by his convictions.
Yeah.
Now, like we could segue onto this. What about Kneecap? It's very relevant at the minute.
Yeah.
From what I seen, it started off Sharon Osbourne made a big deal about it.
Who was cancelled before and who went on a press tour about rallying against cancel culture, and then she's the first in line to want to cancel Kneecap.
And she said she's half Irish. I'm half Irish, and I was like, no,
she's half Irish.
That's what she said. It's on about being there's an Irish in her.
We officially disowned that half.
And then they went hunting then for something that Kneecap did or said, like they must have went for, because that's 2 years old.
But sure, listen, you know, the unionists have worked that template every single time, and if you look at the attitude the unionists have towards the arts, the Israelis are the same. Do you know what I mean? The art is about punching up.
Yeah,
you know, Kneecap does that. You know, there's no good documentaries about colonialism.
No,
you know,
no.
They're anti-colonial. You know, but you know, what's happened with Kneecap, the unionists have been doing it for years.
Yeah. Joe Brawley was actually put a finger out on Twitter. He goes, "Wait till they start chatting about the Killers." Because Kneecap seems to be, how dare they call their band Kneecap?
That's it. But what I seen was unionism frothing at the mouth, because they're not as effective anymore as they were.
No.
But here they had all these economic power blocks behind them. You know, the Israelis and the Israeli lobby, the Zionist lobby, and they were frothing at the mouth. You know, here we have Kneecap now. We have them or we want them now. You know, and they just don't get it. You can't kill art. You cannot kill.
They're actually bringing it up.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
That's why I don't get anybody. I don't get anybody who's against freedom of speech, especially artists against it. It doesn't make sense to me. You're for repression of anything. You shouldn't be. It's about expression. You know, like all our artists especially should believe in it. And there's people on the left and people on the right who are against freedom of speech. You know, you're either for it or you're not. You know, you have to listen to the stuff that you're not for, and then and take it on the chin. That's what you got to do. You hear things all the time. Like people have said to me, John, are you for the hate speech laws and this, that, and the other, and say knacker and pikey being outlawed? I'm like, no, I'm not. Let people say what they want to me. I would rather know who my enemy is anyway. And don't repress these characters who then end up being martyred anyway. I don't think it's a good tactic. Have we learned anything from history?
Of course,
you know. But anyway, art is all about expression, and we should be allowed to just say what the fuck what you want. And the lads showed some serious balls. You got to give it to them. You know?
And they're standing by it, and they don't care if they lose work.
They stood by it. A solid
statement. They don't care if they lose work. They don't. You know that they're. But I just can't get my head around how anybody. Like, did you watch the Lou Through documentary? No.
Yeah, did I? Yeah.
First of all, how did he get on? I couldn't believe that. But they must have thought because he's a standoffish journalist.
Didn't he do something about that
years
ago?
In 2010, he done a documentary which wasn't as critical. I mean, you'd seen the settlers for what they were, but it wasn't as critical, and it's not as a sensitive time as it is now.
Yeah.
So he's getting under those auspices,
He looks
But
scared.
I was really, really surprised at how far Louis Theroux went. Now,
Really?
no, for sure he's
have
done
to
a
watch
great.
it. What's that,
He's done a
BBC?
great job. You've seen.
BBC.
He's never shook Louis Theroux. You know, he's just brilliant at getting in.
Hasn't he? Drawn out.
Yeah,
He's
drawn
been in
out
with
with people.
neo-Nazis
Have
and everything, and like
He lets them. He lets them.
yeah,
Exactly.
He lets them
I think
themselves.
that's what people, because they're trying to do this narrative now that it was, they went for the extreme people and then they added it to shoot as agenda. He does the opposite of that. He lets you be who you're going to be. He just sits back.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Doesn't
No,
ask
it's-
any real hard questions.
he's a master, isn't he, Sean?
Oh,
that's
he's
your,
a-
that's
ma-
your game. The
he's a
documentary
master.
game.
Yeah, it's very different from my work. Like, but he's
Yeah,
he's very,
how
very.
he just peels at things back off people, and he hanged himself.
Exactly.
He's
He
such
does.
an inviting. He can ask the most provoking questions in the most inviting way, so you don't feel threatened.
Yes.
And,
But that's where his genius comes from.
yeah.
Yeah.
He can just about get to where he's not hit by people.
Yeah.
That's right onto their skin.
There was one where your woman pushed him and she wanted him to push him back.
Yeah.
So she could give an example of why they're in the West Bank. And the West Bank aren't controlled by Hamas either, by the way. So
Oh yeah, it's the Fatah movement. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So they're just going in and deciding to stay, put a tent up, flag in the ground, it's ours. It's like, I just don't understand when you're watching videos after videos of like babies blown in half and they can spend a week chatting about Kneecap and a few words.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's a good distraction, though, isn't it?
But they're that confident they probably let him in thinking it was going to go the other way.
oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
And he does have a wee bit of Jewish look about him too.
We were saying
I think
about
he's
that.
part Jewish, is he?
No, Louis Theroux is Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
because-
Jewish.
I'm fairly sure Louis Theroux is Jewish. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But a master to trade, like
Brilliant.
he really is. You know.
Kneecap's
Yeah.
manager actually spoke very well.
Yeah.
An
He
RG,
seems
yeah.
well
Good
educated
Lambert,
on
huh?
it too.
Yeah, I
He
jumped
did.
with him a few times. Sound lad. Good crack with him, and he's a charity. He works with Bohemians or one of them, or
I think it is Bohemians.
yeah, and they've did a few after parties there. in
And
that- in
their
that
music
stadium.
is unreal, Kneecap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've a great energy. I really liked the film. I thought it was so enjoyable.
Brilliant.
A lot of fun, you know, like because a lot of Irish films are so boring, and you either get cheesy tourism films or an art house film. Just I don't know.
I thought-
Well, what are they like?
a
As
lot
I
of
was
first-time
really
actors?
surprised by.
yeah, they're very good as first time. Like particularly the teacher fella.
Wasn't he brilliant?
Yeah, like he looked like he'd been.
He
acting.
put the R's in the part.
And,
of it.
and I
But
think
the other two very good as well and edgy and like
Yeah.
they've great like presence and all. But he would have a career just as an actor. I'd say if he wanted to be.
I think that brought him up level with the two boys as well. Whenever you see Kneecap, it's the two lads.
yeah,
And then that
but with the film,
movie,
he kind of stole the show with the
Didn't
film.
he?
He did, to be honest. Yeah.
and the two
I mean-
other boys were brilliant as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. He had great energy, but he looked at like the most crafted actor, I think. But they're all great. I really enjoy it. Just the balls of it, I think. Just a bit of balls in the cinema was nice to see from an Irish film, you know?
Yeah, I fucking loved it.
I've seen them a few times. How the energy they bring to stage, their concerts are
Second to none.
they're excellent. The big
No,
one now in Belfast will be.
I seen them getting interviewed. They came off and seen Noel Gallagher, and they thought Noel was there for someone else. What are you doing here, Noel? He says, I'm here to see you, and you're amazing. It's like, this is brilliant. Like, it's
Oh, I've
surreal
seen
for
him-
them.
I've seen him talking about it. I've seen him talking about them, yeah.
But
Um,
they've just went, and they're going to go even bigger now because of all this. I believe.
Well, do you know, it's kind of rock and roll, isn't it? A bit. There's a bit of edge to it, you know.
The only problem is the streaming services if they're taking off a streaming service because the Zionist lobby has the power to do that. So hopefully
Wow.
that doesn't happen.
They control all that.
Spotify, though, they probably wouldn't be able to, would they?
Well,
Spotify kind of really. That's
some
their brand,
guy on-
isn't it? Their brand is we don't censor anybody. We don't take anybody off, no matter what. Spotify are like that. I'm pretty sure.
So that's just music, but see, you're right. There was some Zionist on saying we control Facebook, Instagram, X. We need to win that war because we're losing the social media
Really,
war.
yeah?
Aye, so
Wow.
he was openly saying, "Let's control the narrative here."
Yeah, well, what was it? It was the American Airlines. Someone was it one of the anti-Semitism organisations had contacted American Airlines because Kneecap, the film, was on the flights, and literally within a couple of hours it was taken off of flights.
That's
And this was all done on X. This was all done on Twitter. You know, they tagged American Airlines, and American Airlines got back within a couple of hours.
Yeah.
said they were taken off.
That,
you know.
is it that? What's the name of that organisation? The Jewish organisation? Yeah.
Well, you have the ADL. It's Anti-Defamation League, isn't it?
Yeah,
They're
but
probably the most powerful. But there's
But
loads
they
of different
were
organisations.
so freedom of speech in the 60s and 70s that they were advocating for Nazis to say what they want, neo-Nazis, the KKK to say what they want in relation to any race, because they believed so much. The Jewish people who ran that organisation believed so much in freedom of speech that they campaigned on behalf of racists and anti-Semites for freedom of speech. It's funny how things flip, isn't it? Like over time.
Yeah, well, you can't be a successful colonial movement if you're going to, allow free speech. It's just it's an oxymoron. You know,
that's where the internet has sort of blown things up a bit, isn't it? And like highlighted so much of this as well. Like,
yeah,
a comedian that I work with, Paul Curry from Belfast. You know,
no.
Paul's like a clown comedian, brilliant. So like he did a show in London, just wasn't long after October 7th, and it was a full hour where he doesn't speak. He gets people he's hilarious. Like you'd have to. He's one of them comedians you have to watch. You have to go in and sit and be in the environment. Do you know what I mean? He does everything, and he's brilliant. But what happened? He did a bit where he says no to war and took out a Palestinian flag or whatever and put it up. I think he might have brought out a Ukraine one as well, didn't he?
That was in Soho or something, was it?
Aye.
No.
It was on Sky News England, Australia. It was cancelled from every festival. You want to see? They had to take down all social medias. Now they were saying he was saying this, that, and the other. It was a silent act.
that's mad.
He won his case though, didn't he?
Do you know what? I don't know what. I think it's
did.
still going, but now it wouldn't. Like, Jesus, they put. You'd swear he was there. You'd swear it was October 7th. The way they were talking about him, they cancelled him badly. Like,
I had no gigs. He hasn't got the head out of it yet.
no. It's just nothing. People, they were blaming him like for everything anti-Semitic, and all I did was took out. I think it was like he played songs, and I put on a peace song, and then took out the flags and says, "No, make love, not war," or something. That was it.
Haven't heard a word from him since.
Controversial.
Still
So what's the plans, lads? What's coming up? And the John Connors and what?
Well, me and John we're making a film together. John's starring the film. It's a dark love story set between Belfast and the criminal world in the south. So we're at the
Modern or
contemporary. Yeah, so we're at the latter stages. Actually, we're shooting a pilot in the first week of June, and then we're going to shoot the feature last week of August, first 2 weeks of September. So we're nearly there. And John's like myself. We mentioned impulsive, like we were talking earlier on. We just get it done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hem and haw about these things, and it's never done. But we got some work done today, didn't we?
Oh, 100%. Well, look, I've always been a fan of Sean Unquite Graves. Blew me mind, to be honest. And we've had good crack over the years and great conversations and into the same sort of films as well that we like, And what I see in this script is something that's never really been done, So I'm.
What size of cast is it?
Are you looking to get cast?
Do you need a doorman?
Actually, the film is actually about two doormen.
I could be the silent doorman.
It'd actually be good to do it in and around there messing about.
just Max and Paddy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of film about two lads growing up in West Belfast, and a young girl that disappears for a number of years, and then she's back, and that trouble comes back with her. She got into a bad relationship. She was abused. The guy's getting out of jail. She goes back to Belfast, and this guy's he's a bad boy. So we have the clash of those which recently happened here. If we look at the killing of Robbie Lawler, we have the criminality in Dublin clashes with the politics. So it's subtly political. I mean, I'm highly influenced by Latin American film, and uses conventional means to make films, but it's politically subtle throughout the film, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're on to John has been invaluable to me because John's been there and done it. My background's documentary. Yes, I've worked on a few dramas, but it's the first feature that I've written myself.
Exciting.
Yeah, and just to have John on board and keep me right, it's just it has been invaluable. And like John's only up this morning, and I've never had a day where you've been as clear-headed, we've banged heads together,
Brilliant.
and the stuff that's come out just in a few hours is
I
just
know.
The creative stuff.
Oh, the creative stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, the creative stuff, and not only that, like it's like serendipity.
Yeah.
He's mentioned someone, like Graham Early, who's worked with me and John before, and I went, geez, that's
Perfect casting.
That's the area.
And now you've got me.
I was literally mentioning how much Graham Early loves this world and this world that we're going to enter, and how we'd love to play. And he's like, he's perfect for this role. I was like, absolutely. We got on to Graham, and Graham is like real excited. So it's just serendipity in these little moments, one after another.
One after another, and then there was another guy. I went, Jesus, something? There's a guy there, and I know Adam Murphy. I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and he's a great actor. And I text at him because the two doormen they've grew up together as boxers. So the lead is a young guy called Kieran McCord who acted in a film 9 years ago. He made that film, Fractured City. It was a short, and Kieran was amazing in it. They always told Kieran, look, we'll have to work together again. So he's the lead, and his friend, who's Tommy in the film, would also need to be a boxer because they're boxers growing up. And I thought Adam Murphy, and he says, text him to see if he's boxed before. I text Adam Murphy, he says, two times All-Ireland champion.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah,
Did you box before?
Yeah.
Twice.
They need in them kind of films as well, and that you're into social realism too, Sean.
Yeah.
You need real.
You can't
stuff.
fake it.
You can't fake it in that world. You get away with it in Hollywood stuff.
Apocalypto, one of the best movies ever.
Apocalypto. Mel Gibson.
No real actors.
Mel Gibson is my film hero. Like,
if you think of the stuff
he's
did.
right up there for me in terms of being a director and an actor. But both of them, like, I love his acting. Like, he doesn't get talked about among the great actors. I love him as an actor. Great voice, great face, great everything. He can go to emotional places. He's technically brilliant. And then as a director, he's one of the best directors ever. Like,
unreal. And like
Passion of the Christ and Apocalypto and
Braveheart. He did that one too. You get the guy that he didn't want to take.
Hacksaw Ridge.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
right,
National Crisis, great, very unbelievable. But
See, that's true. Watch him. There's a wee wicked cross in your car, and I was wondering why is that there? Because
Don't fuck with my man.
You and your jiu-jitsu.
I cancel it.
They want to wrestle you, John.
I want to get me down to the ground. Oh, that's very sussy.
You're not allowed to bite a punch.
Called out God.
And now he wants to wrestle me.
Brilliant.
No, I love film too. Yeah, that's when are you hoping to have that?
Well, we're going to shoot the last week of August and the first 2 weeks of September. So I would say for release, we're probably talking about next spring to be sure, John.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Take a good time in the edit, and get things done right.
If you need an extra, lads,
you'd be perfect. An extra few pound, like. Can you go on a Zempic and get a 6-pack then?
What weight do you need me? I can go up or down. I can just give me a number.
You could be a fella at the bar, with the belly up against up the bar, and
telling the lies.
like,
just
an old blackguard.
No bar.
Bullshit.
Like. I'll piss myself in the bar for you. Just.
Do you drink?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I'm drinking 5 months though. But
have you not? No. He's off for a while too, haven't you?
Yeah,
you take us up.
I do, yeah. What about
just
what's your
anxiety with hangovers?
That's the only thing.
No, it's terrible, isn't it?
John, does not knock you. You need to have a week off. Like
I've never seen anybody drink Guinness like John. I'm telling you now.
Really?
Oh, I'm a world champion at drinking Guinness.
What do you call him in Dublin? The Pintsman, is it?
The Pintsman, yeah.
The Pintsman. Tell the story about that.
Paddy Losty, the Pintman.
Yeah.
Paddy Losty. So the Pintman culture was a thing in the 70s and 80s.
The Pintman.
Yeah, so they were.
There's a wee video.
Yeah, that's right. So that was a real culture, Dublin subculture, and it would be mostly all the fellas in the docks, but like working class fellas in general. And they would go in and they'd go into the early house and they'd have maybe 8 or 10 pints for breakfast, like genuinely. And they'd go to work and then they'd have 2 or 3 for lunch.
Stuffed.
And then the rest of the day they'd have another 20 odd. So they'd have up to 40 pints a day, 7 days a week. And they were known as pintmen. And there was a famous fella called Paddy Losty. He was the pintman. And there's a quote from him like, I'd take the shirt off any man's back, They actually did it in a culty accent, which Damien Dempsey didn't like, because he said, fuck, there were no culty pintmen, they were dubs, So he would have done it like, I take the shirt off any man's back. And Maureen, I go home to Maureen, she make me a fry, be farting up and toffer and all that. So anyway, it was this mad Dublin subculture, the pintman, yeah. So I'm a bit of a pintman.
What would be your, it's like if me and you go to the pub now, what's
Guinness?
Many pints.
It depends what time I go there and what time I leave, and if I stop then after I leave. Like, so say if I went at say 7 till about 1, I'd do 20 pints.
20 pints.
And you stay in a good...
Yeah, I'm great.
You reckon that's the...
People love me. Then I'll start singing.
Start singing, get his pot out.
Get his pot out.
You're not allowed to, he didn't know you weren't allowed to sing in Madden's Barn. He was singing an old Traveller's song. No, I couldn't believe it. No.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it either.
Of all the bars?
Because they do
Of all
traditional
the bars,
music in it.
you're not allowed to sing in Madden. So he's singing and he's nearly finished, and then the doorman comes over and he's telling us to stop, and then...
You nearly got into it with him.
No, it was just... No, was it?
You were trying to explain the situation.
Trying to explain the situation that the song was nearly finished, but anyhow, we nearly had a fallout.
Yeah.
Do you reckon 7
You're back now.
Oh, we're back. No.
I'll be back in there.
Cracker
We'll
bar,
back on the drink next time back up Belfast. Sean Madden's singing again.
I'll not sing. That's what they say. They reckon the best time 6 or 7. They go for drinking because everybody's looking their best and all.
Yeah.
Then you can go for breakfast.
Well, same with I was in Galway with Damo, and I'll name and shame them too. That one, what's that bar? All the artists go there in Galway. Can't remember it. Anyway, Damien Dempsey's there and he starts singing.
Toffees, was it?
No. No.
It's a 2-syllable.
I'd love to name them. Anyway, Damo starts singing Damien Dempsey, like the man's the voice of a generation, like, and the man come over, stop, you have to stop. Like, what? And then we fucking can't sing in a fucking Irish band, fucking Ireland. I said, this is disgraceful. Then we're getting out there. Come on, half the pub left with us.
Yo,
like 40 people left with us, and we got out. Yeah, I want Knockers is at the pub in Sheriff Street, but something like Knocked. Anyway, yeah, but
a Dave Chappelle thing happened one time too. He was doing stand up, he was just opening for the headline act, and they told him to do 10 minutes. Dave Chappelle needs 3 hours, like.
Yeah.
And he went up that 10 minutes. He goes, listen, if you want to hear any more, I'm going for a smoke.
That's right.
Out to the smoke bay, the whole place.
I love Dave Chappelle.
Brilliant as well.
I still think Louis C.K. for me, right, is funnier. Pound for pound will give you more laughs. Like Dave Chappelle is going to give you a lot of politics and philosophy, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. But you know,
jokes.
Aye. Like, and it's not just jokes. It's the observations of Louis C.K. that are so funny, along with the punchline.
Brilliant.
But I mean, for me, there's better nutritional value in terms of comedy with Louis C.K.
Yeah,
you know, it's gonna be predominantly laughs, and you're gonna think, and they're gonna be deep. And actually, sometimes you don't even realize how deep it is until after the fact. Whereas Dave Chappelle is a bit profound and a bit, you know.
But he is the comedian's comedian. So if you were to ask, you know, most comedians, who's your? They would say Louis C.K.
They would.
That's you're right. The majority.
Well, like, how funny is he when, even after being cancelled, he came back and still won a Grammy?
And had a big, was it sorry,
and like how he confronted him.
He won a Grammy? I didn't know that.
He won a Grammy after coming back. I don't know if there's one straight away or the second one.
I think it took a wee while.
But the fact that it was that good and that undeniable,
yes,
still had to give him a Grammy.
Undeniable.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
if you're undeniable, you're undeniable.
If you're undeniable, you have to be undeniable. Like, you know.
Brilliant. The one thing we love comedians. See if comedians get together in a green room. Nobody talks about how well they did at the show. You only want to hear the car crashes. Nobody. I was amazing last night. Who the fuck wants to hear that?
But you see, Teeter is the same. Teeter's the same. I had a director, Jimmy Smallhorn, brilliant actor and brilliant director. He's the first fella to ever have a film in Sundance Film Festival back in '97 when it was a really not raw one. First Irish filmmaker to have one from a working class background, Ballyfermot. Went to New York, immigrated in the 80s, made a film called 2x4. But dude's an acting genius and director, amazing, you know. And he taught me a lot, taught me an awful lot. But we did a show together that I wrote, and I gave a really, really bad rehearsal one day in front of the people who were paying us to put it on Fish Amble. It was right before the run, but it's the best thing that ever happened to you in hindsight, you know. But he comes out and he says to me, we're having a fag together outside. And he just looks at me. How would you think that went? And I went, not great. And he went, yeah, I'd say it was shite. And I said, yeah, it was. I said, do you know what, Jimmy? What? He says, I didn't feel it. Oh, you didn't feel it? Ooh, you didn't feel feel it right. When I was in New York, up in the New York stage, playing Bobby Sands, he said, and I was bollock naked, he said, me balls hanging out. Do you think I felt it every night? I was thinking about having a sandwich half the fucking time. Right? But so he'd come to your shows and he'd give you notes after every show, you know, but I thought I got too confident in the first 20 minutes, because the first 20 minutes is like a stand-up show, you know, and the laughs are great, you know, but working class audience more than ever love it because they appreciate all the stuff.
You still get nervous getting out to do it?
Oh yeah, shit myself. Are you mad? But so I'm there, and I'm there one night, and I'm getting real confident. But it's more of a middle class artiste audience, right? And none of the jokes are working. And it's fucking up me rhythm, and I stutter a bit. And Jimmy has this dark laugh at the back. I said, you a fucking bastard. Some laugh. But that's what dying like that. But man, like, before I did that show, this is a fact. Like, I was outside Bewley's cafe where we premiered the thing in the Fringe, and I was smoking a fag waiting for Jimmy to come and meet me outside. And I said, I have to find a way out of this. I can't do it. It's open tonight. I can't do it, like, the nerves. It's a one-man show, and I didn't rehearse it. I only had 2 half-day rehearsals. Because I only got the script down from a 2-hour script to a 1-hour script 3 days before opening night. But I was reading the lines all the way along with the rewrites, but I don't know what was going on in my head, so I was extra nervous. Yeah. So I was like, this is a car crash. What are you doing? You're insane, you know? And I remember, this is the sort of internal conversation I used to have as a boxer as well. When you're warming up on the pads, about to go out, and you're going, why are you doing this to yourself? You're torturing yourself. Then you go out, throw the first punch, you'll be grand. But anyway, same thing. But I genuinely made a decision in my head I was going to get out of it, like quit, run away. And I looked at the taxi rank and I said, if I walk out there at the right time and get hit by that taxi, I'll be able to not do the show. Right? And I genuinely was going to do it. And then I thought, fuck, I'm on a stool for the whole fucking show. If Jimmy's going to tell me, fuck your leg, you're going to have to do it anyway. And just when I was figuring out what to do, Jimmy lands and he looks at me, smoking a fag. You're nervous? I said, yeah, I'm nervous. Yeah, me grand. And then you went out and that's it then. But
how did the show go?
Oh, great. I had a great run, and great run, great reviews, and I ended up doing 100 shows all across the world.
Not nervousness, but it does give you, I think if
you need it,
don't you?
You need the alternative is that you're a psychopath who doesn't get nerves, and then that's no good for acting or creativity because you need emotions.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, but theatre's great. I love it, and it's where you learn.
But I know
really
a few comedians are thinking about giving up because it's that constant role of anxiety all the time. You're out 2 or 3 nights a week, and they're worried and they're nervous, and it's just a constant cycle. It affects their mental health. You don't feel like that?
Oh, but you see, now it depends what way you do it as well. Like, I'm very good at convincing myself that I'm not doing something anyway. Like, I'm just this stupid mind where I can go, I'm not doing that until 15 minutes before, and then I acknowledge I'm going to do it.
Right.
But I'm also really good at relaxing. So I would do, like, warm-ups, proper warm-up, like you would for boxing. I would do a warm-up like that. And I would
that relax. Boxing analogy does the same with me. Like it's like pre-fight.
It is, yeah. I would relax my shoulders, drop them, and I do all this is a deliberate thing. No matter when I act on camera or not, because on camera I never get nervous, but I still have to get really relaxed. Because the way I look at acting is, imagine you're driving down the road really fast in a car, and you have to take left and rights, but you can't take it because you're going too fast, right? Slow it all down, and when you slow it down, you can see what way you perform it, see what detail you can do. So I do that. Drop the shoulders, breathe, meditate, mindfulness, put on some calming music, the tone of the piece, the tone of the scene.
Be current.
And breathe through my arse. That's a Jerry Grinnell thing who thought he's not Jerry's an arse. That's breathe through your arse. So pretend you're breathing through your arse because you put so much tension there and you don't realise when you're nervous. So when you do that and you drop your shoulders and you slow your breaths down,
slowing down is massive.
Slow down to everything. Go slow to everything in life. Whenever things are you're going blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work. Slow it right down and it'll all work. You'll see all the different directions, or you're just going to do it wrong anyway.
Yeah. When I do stand up, I was told by comedians at the start, you think you're going slow, go slower.
Yeah.
So even if you think you've got it down to speed.
But it's like actors, the first thing, same with comedians would be, the first thing you do as an actor is you get dialogue, right? And you go, right, I'm going to just bang this out. Because you're nervous, right? But then there's no performance. There's no consideration to actually how you're delivering it. But if you go slow, and even if it's unnatural slow, you'll see the direction. And you'll be able to take your time. you know. And if you're reading something for the first time, you can put that book any way you want and read it that way and use that as a prop, as a part of the scene. The more relaxed you are, the better you will be. So you have to just drill yourself and say
The more
slow,
people
slow,
understand
slow,
us,
slow,
What
slow.
do you like learning lines?
Well, I think learning. Well, I did it for the one-man show pretty quick, and it's not. There's no special. Well, there are actually special tricks. I think there's one that is backed scientifically. Is if you read lines while you listen to them, and they go in both. They go in really quick. So they learned that with students in America somewhere, where basically someone tried it and then they end up doing a study on it. So it's a real legitimate scientifically backed theory, and it does work because I did it. But what I like to do is just record the whole thing anyway and go on a walk, go on a nice walk.
Record yourself reading it.
Yeah. And just work and then go on a walk. And then it depends how big it is. If it's theatre, I'm listening to that 24/7 like a podcast. I'm walking with it and reading with it because you're panicking because you're going, I'm fucked. Like it's with the one-man show, or like I did a show for the Abbey. I was first time in the Abbey main stage, and like I have a monologue, 20-minute monologue, and it's a heavy monologue, and it's about my character who commits suicide basically. So it's like you don't even want to confront that in the first place. So learning the lines for that is extra tough, you know. So you have to record it, walk, and listen, and let it haunt you at night, you know, or you're going to be caught out live, you know.
So see all them one-shot shows, like when we were talking about recently about adolescence stuff. Is that all lines learned? There's no reading scripts behind.
Well, with film, usually you're allowed to improv a bit more sometimes, you know. You don't always go strict by the book, you know. Theatre more, you can't improv.
That was all one shot now, adolescence. So
that was all one shot. So I'd say they were doing a bit of improv to keep it going anyway if the pacing wasn't right. But smart actors know how to improv where it's just ad-libbing. So it's not like improv where you're going down a wild goose chase and taking it in some irrelevant direction. A smart actor might just add a line, a word, or you talking to me, famously improvised. Or they might rearrange a sentence or add a word. That's really the best kind of improv. And the best improv is when you listen. You have to listen. Best acting is listening.
Yeah.
You have to listen. Because for you to land, I always say always come prepared, never come with a plan. Yeah, because how dare you as an actor to land on a set or a stage with a planned way to perform this, when you're going to be confronted with another human life force and creative force in front of you that's going to give you something that you have not experienced yet.
So it's not, you don't want to be waiting to do
in
your
a set that you haven't been in yet, or a stage you don't know. Just be super prepared that you can go any direction, and you take them in and take in there and feed it back, and then you're playing ping pong or table tennis.
Well, tell me
this.
See, when you're watching a movie, or
callback, that's called.
What do you call that show you're talking about there now? Adolescence. See, when you're watching that, do you watch the direction and the editing, or do you watch?
As a filmmaker, you do. You've all the facets of filmmaking. You're just in tune with it all. Like, aren't
How
you?
do you feel about the one shot? Do you think it adds to it?
No,
I didn't. But that
wasn't. It wasn't a made on it for me. Like, it's not something I'd be interested in doing. In any kind of the one shot. It's
just a novelty, though, isn't it? Really, it's just that's the thing. That's the idea. Like, you go, hang on, if you had to cut a lot of the fat out and got more coverage here and here and here, and you could have improved the writing. Actually, you know, it's an immersive experience. I get it. Yeah. It's an immersive, but for me, I'm not into a whole film being one shot and all whatever. Yeah, I understand the challenge as an actor. An actor would go, I'll prove, because it's like doing a theatre show, you know.
I know what you mean.
Stephen Graham's not great, does he?
He's literally one of my favourite actors. He's the best English actor I think there is, probably.
Yeah. Oh man, did you watch Adolescence?
Yeah.
The last scene of him like breaking down was.
I've only watched the first episode.
The last
spoiler alert.
We work with a lot of young people like that too, so for me it was too heavy. Even though I can cope with it, my own job. But
right at the end, all the ninjas come on. I just didn't know that.
You know, I'm finding myself now gravitating towards more fun, light stuff all the time. Actually, and stuff with hope. You know, I'm big into stuff with hope now in the last few years. Whereas I used to be into very, very dark and nihilistic sort of
you take it home.
Do I, as an actor? You do sometimes, and you don't. I'm gone better at not. Like with Cardboard Gangsters, that was a heavy experience for me because I took it in the body a lot. Like I did a scene with Jimmy Smaller and that guy, the director. He played Dara in Cardboard Gangsters, the fellow who kills me in the end.
Yeah.
So in that forest where we shot it, I shot his son, and then he comes and tortures me with his gang. But it's also where my father killed himself.
Did you write that?
Yeah, so I wrote it to be there as well, so I wouldn't have to act, right? Because you're into this method and whatever, and it fucks up your head. So, but when the lads dragged me in, I gave the lads a load of stick. It was Damien MC Steve, Clint, Patty O'Carroll, and someone else who had to grab me. They're all big men, and I gave them loads of stick, kind of in character, and roaring at them, and was told them, you better hit me hard, and all this stuff. So they're doing that, and they're big men. So when they got me down the ground and they put me in a hole, they all got on me, and I couldn't move. Like, I couldn't move. And Jimmy went all the way. He went all the way, like, and he choked me unconscious, right? So I lost consciousness, and I didn't have a safe word. I couldn't talk. So I lost consciousness, and my neck was bruised, and for weeks afterwards. And he just threw me in the hole, and then I was in the hole like that, and I come barely in and out of consciousness. A lot of people have seen that. Geez, that was an amazing shot. That's because I lost confidence. I pulled myself back out of it, like, genuinely. When the hit off the ground, the hit off the ground is what woke me back up. Yeah. So for weeks afterwards, my sleep was messed up, and my head was messed up badly because my body didn't know that it was fake. My body didn't know. Yeah. Your body takes in all the trauma, holds the trauma, you know. So all that stuff, you do when you go all in and that stuff. But like, for instance, I did another play where it was a very, very heavy play about heavy themes, suicide and that. And because of my father, he died by suicide in my community. He's riddled with it, and so many people and family everywhere. I said, I'm just going to have fun for this whole thing. Yeah, and I just did the opposite. I didn't put white on white. I put purple on white, and I just had fun every day in the rehearsal. And any chance to have fun and do it, I would.
For your mental health.
And one of the other actors didn't, and that actor ended up in a bad state. I can't even say what happened. Something very unexpected happened, and it's because that actor was taking in the darkness of the whole piece. And I tried to advise the actor and say, listen, it's 6 weeks, of 10 to 5 every day, 6 days a week. It's not a film where you drift in and out. You know, if you do that for that time, your body's gonna say no to that. You know, and the actor wouldn't take my advice. I just tried to advise them, but they ended up backing out of the play before opening night.
What about you, Sean? When it comes to the stuff that you've made, it's a lot of trauma, a lot of emotion, a lot of you're uncovering stuff. Did it affect you and your mental health?
Not at the time. I think, a lot of people put a question to me about, growing up in the Troubles here, in these areas here, and all the death that you had around you, friends' fathers been killed, family members been killed. Was it traumatic for you? And you're sanitized by it.
Yeah.
You're sanitized by the violence. You're sanitized by the anxiety of gunmen coming in. I mean, a lot of the times I would have stayed in my grandmother's house in Kaiserman Road there. So I would have lay with my grandfather at night. And I'll never forget worrying every single night. Well, are they going to shoot? Are they going to shoot him in front of me? Or should I maybe just go down the line as a tea? Because they maybe not go in there. Because in Waterville Street behind, Sean Slane was killed. They went in, and at that time it was a horrific killing. They shot him in front of his wife and his kids. That was one of the Brian Nelson killings, the early Brian Nelson killings. So you had these sledgehammer killings, if you like. They were sledgehammering doors down. They were killing people before they could even get to the top of the stairs. So you'd always had that worry, that anxiety, but you had a happy childhood. And it's only when I went to Lebanon and had seen at the end of 2006 war in Lebanon how happy the kids were, and I went, they're just sanitized by the violence.
Palestine too, the wind smiled.
Yeah, exactly. So,
water smiling.
So when I thought about it, the worst generation that got it, for me, what I had seen, was my grandfather's generation. If you think it, you'd had years...
72?
Well, if you had it, you'd years of so-called peace anyhow. There wasn't... The conflict didn't really, explode until 69. But if you have a young family, 69 happens, your sons and daughters are going to jail, they're being killed. You're not, to a certain degree, fighting that war. It's your children are, and that I seen it. My granda, my granda, was a broken man for much of the conflict.
Same with my granny and granda too, because they were just going up and down to the cache, and like my uncle was only 15 when he was in the blanket, so he didn't shave.
How sick is that?
You know?
So, and I think it was Bobby
15-year-old
Sands,
there, like.
and somebody was on. They actually mentioned him because he didn't have facial hair, and he still doesn't grow much. So when he was 15, he looked about 12.
Yeah.
And there's a button you press if you're on the blanket and you want in the dirty protest and you want to hit it, they get out. And the many ex-prisoners says it's because of him they couldn't hit it because he wouldn't.
No.
So he stayed from 15 to 18.
Yeah.
3 years in a cell.
I spent my whole childhood going up the long cash. I was
Yeah.
just talking to John earlier on about this. But one thing I have to say, the slagging. It wasn't all. They got through those sentences by the carry on it went up in long cash. Like,
Yeah.
Big Deuce McMullen, for me, died of cancer. I was just talking about him this morning, actually. Big Deuce McMullen would have been D Company here in the Falls Road. He was the biggest slagger. He had people tore. I'm still hearing stories about him. But he called me John Danley. And I remember going up, I think it was the day before he had died, and he was lying, he got cancer, and he called me John Danley, and everybody wondered why he called me John Danley. So I went up to see him, and he was lying, he was bad, he hadn't got long to go, and he heard me coming into the bedroom, and he goes, "Was that John Danley?" Even to his death, he called me John Danley. But the story behind him calling me John Danley was the Dunville Park there's a barber's face in it, right? And the barber was called John Danley. But he had a cut hair, made up balls of people's hairs. He'd drink vodka all day. You know what I mean? He's an alcoholic, And I went in at lunchtime. I was only about 12. I went in at lunchtime. There's a queue in front of me. And every time it got to my turn, he went, "Sit down, you wee bollocks, right?" And put somebody else next. So I was chirping away, going, "Hold on," but I was there first and know all this here. And so this is how long I was there. I got to 5 o'clock, and there was nobody left with me. So I'm about to get up the chair to get my hair cut, and he says, "We're closed, get out, you cheeky wee bastard." Right? So I goes outside, and I'm fucking fuming. And I sees a big breeze block.
Yeah.
And the big barber's window, breeze block right through the barber's window. John Danley's away chasing me up the street. But Big Deuce McMullen seen it happening, and he called me John Danley ever from like right in the adulthood, like John
To
Danley.
his deathbed, like.
So, well, his deathbed, John Danley called me. Everybody wondered, John Danley.
But you're right to see them times too. Like when I chat to my uncle Kieran and my dad and all there, it's all about the funny things inside. The crack. Like remember the buses used to go on and they used to drive around the cache. It was just probably going around circles. But it was like in case we were planning an escape, then they come in and do the clicker thing.
See, many times I was on that bus that left the Falls Road here and it was attacked. Like the mothers usually get us on the ground. The windows were smashed. The loyalists attacking the buses too. But like I keep bringing it back. And when I'm writing now, when I'd done, Fractured City or whatever, and I'd wrote down dramas, I think you have to rue a few emotions out in a film for a film to be successful.
Absolutely.
To engage with the audience. Of course you're going to have those moments which are emotional, but you have to have dark humour.
Oh,
yeah.
It has to be dark humour.
absolutely.
Wee bit edgy.
And I got that from Long Cash. I did,
Yeah.
even going up the slagging. I mean, you're going up to see your dad in jail, and the abuse he's given.
Did you have to stand on the bus?
area.
So see, when we got on the bus would have come round for us and we would have got a seat. There mightn't have been enough seats. You had to stand for adults. So we had to stand from Strabane, and it was like there was no bypasses nowhere or Newton Stewart or anything like that. The whole way to Long Cache
That's
because
some stand.
fucking hell, hey, you're surfing the whole way up road like, in the middle of the thing.
Not half.
But 15 years we were going up and down to Long Cache.
Well, more as bad. I went up for 7 years at Long Cache, and I used to visit the Crum too. I was telling him earlier on. I used to go up and see a Crum or some stories in the Crum too, But I always remember the Crum because obviously it was a remand prison. So
Paisley was in there for a day, wasn't
That's right, yeah. So you would have went to the Crum just until you were sentenced in the courthouse across the street, and then you were
under the tunnel.
And then you were lifted in the helicopter. But there's a story that when my dad was in the Crum, he was sentenced then, and they put him into I think the Wessex helicopter and brought him up above Clonard, above here. It was a Crum because the Crum's there obviously, and they're going to Long Cache. They kind of hovered above Clonard and said, "Have a good look for the last time. That's a fucking I'll be seeing that place for a while."
I remember one of the stories my dad says about when he was in their eye. He says, "Tell us now the story." He says, "We were out in foot patrol one day." He says, and what way they did it, him and his mate were in front of each other, and he says, "Well, anytime we hear a car, because there wasn't very many vehicles in the 70s, hide under the bushes and out, and then go ahead." And my dad would fucking 7 stone wet back in. And they were walking down, they heard a car, so my dad moved in, and his jacket got caught. barbed wire. When his pet go back. So the other boy come out, see my dad's missing, he's fucking running around with a gun. They had to kick through doors in the head of the town to get through, hide the guns, all that there. Meanwhile, my dad's still stuck in his fucking hedge. Mask on, gun.
But
But there's always a yarn.
even when I remember when my old lad got out, the carry on where me and my brother, he thought he was still in jail. So he thought that was he's messing about with his mates still. And I was going, listen, you're not in jail anymore. We're kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but he's just trying to get condition for being outside.
I've seen a lot
you
of
know?
lifers
Yeah.
too that when they got out, they were down the town like they were 25 years of age because they missed 10 years of that crack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Didn't get
So they're out
developed.
running about and getting full and getting in their fights and shagging and they were just mental. Like. But
Nearly quarter to
boys,
7, do you need to go?
Huh?
It's nearly quarter to 7, do you need to go?
Oh, is it? Yeah.
boys, thanks very much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Great stories.
One of our favourite ones yet. And you'll probably see a few wee clips coming out. That's okay.
Sounds good.
No problem.
Thank you very much, man.
Probably the English one.
Should go on. You've got
Thank you very much, son.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant, lads.
Cheers, Sean. Thank
Thanks
you.
a million, lads.
Bye-bye.